Hi, I'm Mike. Welcome to this video. I hope you enjoy watching it. This is my turnaround point. I love goals on my hikes, and having a predetermined turnaround point is good for my motivation. This is milepost 16. The post, but no 16 sign, but we're at the west end of Cameron Lake. When I started my hike at the Port Alberni summit, there was snow on the ground, snow on the side of Highway 4, and there was snow on the railway. And then bit by bit the snow accumulations were less and less, and now it's pretty bare. Also, we started with fog, a bit of mist, a bit of light rain at one point. There's still fog, but it's lifted a bit, and the rain has stopped. And I've seen the sun try to poke through a few times, so I'm getting a whole variety of weather and lighting, so I'm happy with that. Have yourself a great day. Here's the big picture for this video's location: Vancouver Island on the west coast of British Columbia. The little red circle is the rough area, Cameron Lake. Here's a map of the railways in the central Vancouver Island area, and the E&N's Port Alberni subdivision goes from Parksville on the right to Port Alberni on the left. And the red line is the extent of my hike, from the east side of the Port Alberni summit to the west end of Cameron Lake. The purple line shows the 8 miles along the railway where a fiber-optic cable was installed alongside the railway. That project completed in spring 2022, and the result was improved sight lines and cutback of foliage. It looks like a railway again. So I enjoyed this for most of my hike, all the way until the last 0.6 of a mile. Here's a close-in map showing the Cameron Lake Port Alberni summit area, and I've shown the railway in black, and the little yellow things are the milepost markers, and you can see Highway 4 follows along. Starting and end point is the red circle near the bottom on the east slope of the Alberni summit, just beside Highway 4. The top of the map shows mile 16. That's my turnaround point above the west end of Cameron Lake. And those 4 red marks are the trestles and bridges that I cross on my out and back hike. My hike was 4.6 miles each way, 9.2 return. That works out to be about 14.7 kilometers. And I spent 8 hours out there just enjoying it. Lots of time, mainly because of all the photographs and the video that I was doing. Plus it was a bit slower for part of it because of the snow. 6:47 a.m. I'm at the Port Alberni summit, just on the east side, starting my hike. And here I come up to the railway grade, about mile 20.6. Looking back west, up grade, just showing you the snow. More snow than I was expecting, but we'll see if it just lessens and lessens as I go away from the summit area. I think that's what will happen. I'm between the 2 big curves on this descent from the summit. And yeah, there's still a lot of snow. It's actually okay to walk on. So far, it's just the right depth to make it smooth walking on the ties, but not too deep so I sink into it. Well, this snow is still a nice surprise. Gives me a different look to a familiar hike. I haven't hiked here with this much snow before. Snow photography and snow scenes like you're seeing right now are just something different, for me at least. So, good opportunity. So this is a familiar hike. It's been about 4 months since I was here last. In late October, I was questing for autumn leaves scenes. The goals, as always, exercise and just enjoying life, enjoying interesting photography. And seeing how the railway grade and the structures, I got 4 trestles coming up, how they have changed over time due to just the passage of time, weather, and other deterioration. And of course, how nature pushes back, such as up here, where I think I've got some rock that's fallen sometime in the last 4 months. It's always interesting seeing this stuff from a distance. Yeah, there's some rock. And there's the trestle, an area that's seen a lot of rock fall here, as you can see to the right, up ahead. Alright, so this is the mile 20.2 trestle. It's a simple timber frame trestle over a dry gully. And again, here's evidence of cleared rock slides from yesteryear. There's a steel cable down the middle of the trestle, and that's from the Fibre-Optic cable project. When the workers for that would cross the trestle, they used it to hook onto. It's a safety thing. It's a job site. You'll see that on all 4 of the structures that I crossed today. So this is traditionally where I turn around and make a photograph of Mount Arrowsmith, but not visible right now. We've got a lot of low fog cloud in the Cameron River Valley down below and reaching to up here. So I got fog, I got snow. It's perfect for interesting lighting and photographic conditions, so I'm very happy with this. Well, that's the first time I've seen this much snow here at mile 20. It doesn't mean it's never happened, it's just in my limited number of visits here over the last 4 years. The last time that there was a train through here was in early 2002, so just over 21 years ago, and I'm mindful of that and the future potential of this railway line as I'm walking today. My hope is that levels of government announce their intention to fund the rehabilitation of this railway line, both subdivisions, Victoria to Courtenay, as well as Parksville to Port Alberni, and that trains start running again. It's such a valuable corridor. Yeah, you'd never replace it. Looking back around mile 19.65, this open area right here is where the section house was for Arrowsmith, and just coming up around the corner at mile 19.6 is the site of the water tower. The water tower is obviously long gone, but the 2 concrete foundations are still here, visible right here, and a nice interpretive sign, which includes the Leonard Frank photo from 1911 showing the first train on this sub heading back towards Parksville. But lovely. Let's continue eastward. Still little bits of snow, but there's lots of empty patches too. Yeah, it's a nice scene. And here's milepost 19. One of my favorite scenes right here. I always enjoy this rock face and doing a photograph of it. Every time I come by, the light is a little different. Coming up is the mile 18.8 compound bridge. That's a half depth girder in the middle, and Either side is a wooden trestle. There, see, I went into tour guide mode right there. Okay, just little bits of snow left on some of the ties, and that's it. One of those ones with the fire barrel on the end. I like all of the green moss for color. It's the photographer and me speaking, not the person who is looking after the structures. Nice. I like to show this here. The end sticking out is some rail used as rebar, and there you can see the timber pile and the retaining wall building up there. There's a lot of usage of retaining walls holding in the grade where there used to be trestles originally. There were so many trestles along this line. Lots of them got replaced in the first 20 years, but some endure. And this is where I switched my white balance to cloudy. So, difference in the way the color looks on this dreary day. Okay, I leave the 18.8 compound bridge and continue on eastward. Next stop is the mile 18.1 Trestle. And I've got a little bit of light mist falling now, which feels really nice. This is one of those areas of the E&N Railway's Port Alberni subdivision where it's much easier to see the potential because the grade here is clear thanks to the fiber-optic cable project a year ago. But there's none of that overgrowth of broom and brush to distract. Of course, that overgrowth is easily cut back, but it visually gives the wrong perception and makes it easy for people to discount the potential of this railway line. The potential is enormous. Let's look to Mount Arrowsmith. Very beautiful today. I love the diversity of the weather here on the West Coast. Here's a lovely area. Nice waterfall. There's the full vertical view of it. And it goes down into a culvert. Up on my right is where the Apennines siding was. That was removed years ago. Here comes the mile 18.1 Trestle. The one in worst shape of these four. The deck is in really bad shape. So bad that when they did the fiber-optic cable project, they needed to lay a bunch of planks on the deck in order to make it safe just to walk across the deck on those planks. This is so cleaned up compared to how it used to look. First few times I saw it. That's the impact of that fiber-optic project. Okay, careful you walk. Yeah, the ties are poor. I mean, if this trestle had the traffic, the foot traffic that the Cameron Lake Lakeview trestles have, I mean, this would be really ground up pretty bad. So there is a creek, obviously, on this one and the next one. And looking back, there's a bit of a creek. Okay, I'll see that in a little while on my way back. And now just up here on the right is the mile 18 marker. Around this corner coming up is the mile 17.5 trestle, the last one that I'll see outbound today. And I can hear the creek already. Such a nice S-curve here, curving left on my approach and then curving right on the trestle. The wet weather always makes the wood on the trestle nicer for the photography. Well, that was fun on this side. Now let's do the other side. And it's starting to brighten up for the light. Yeah, this is nice. I really enjoy this looking down angle from the side of the trestle with the creek below. It's just one of my favorite go-to places, especially that bit of moss on the end of the timber. I love it. Okay, let's continue eastward. I'd like to get to mile 16 and have that as my turnaround, because I got to that area about 1 month ago on my last railway walk from the other end at Cameron Lake. Somewhere up here near this corner is milepost 17. The post has been missing for a few years. I've never seen it, but based on charts and me looking at the curves, yeah, it's somewhere right around here. This is around mile 16.8 or so. It's an area that sees rock falls and tree falls, and in the time that I've been coming here, which is now about 4 years, some big rocks came down and broke the rail in 3 different places, and that was fixed up by the crew that was doing the fiber optic cable, because they needed to run a rail car pushed by one of the excavators with all of their materials. So they did some welding. But these continue to come down. Easy to get around. This is where the fiber optic cable line leaves the railway and heads down the bank, because Cameron Lake is down there below, west end of Cameron Lake, and I believe it then goes down Cameron Lake in a submerged cable, and then at the east end, by where the chalet was, it comes out and then travels by utility pole. I think that's how it works. And here I am walking up to one of my favorite peekaboo views of Cameron Lake. I love this spot here. I really enjoy this lookout here to Cameron Lake at the west end of the lake. I've seen photos from the 60s and 70s here without all the trees blocking, and spectacular view down the lake. Okay, continue eastward. The trees are encroaching here, and here is, as far as I can tell, the easternmost extent of the fiber optic project. They just cleared this, I think, as a turnaround spot for their equipment. That's where I came from. It's clear, nice clear walking, and now I am getting into the Broom. Here's where the hiker's trail comes up. Comes up from the Cabin Road. That Cabin Road is accessed from the west end of Cathedral Grove. And then the hikers who are going up to Mount Horn or Wesley Ridge Loop or something like that, they'll come along here on the railway for a short bit, and then the trail leaves and goes up a steep slope. Here's an area where there's continual rock fall, and again a bit more since the last time I was here. You can see through there, covered by moss, but more rocks that have come down over the years, been moved out of the way. But where does the rock come from? Well, it comes from up there and beyond. And here's where the trail up to the ridge and mountains leaves and goes up that scree slope there. That's the cool trail sign. And I continue on. Coming up on the right is what I call my low-light mic tree. And then a little ways beyond is the mile 16 area. This tree has some significance to me. It was my turnaround the first time I ever came from this direction in 2019. It was blocking the railway then. And then the neat thing is some good people who use this corridor recreationally cleared it along with other windfalls and rocks, etc. And they also left me a kind message. Hello, lowlight. That's me. So I'm thankful for those people every time I come through here. and thankful that I really just enjoy this back end of Cameron Lake. It's hard to get to. That's probably why I like it. And here comes the mile 16 site. I call that the site because there's no marker on the post. The post remains, but someone took the 16. I always think maybe it was a Trevor Linden fan. Nice scene here. Here are some of the things I carry with me and wear. Here's my hat. It's got the E&N logo on it, the E&N emblem, whatever the correct term is, and this was put together by the good people at Elevation Media. Thanks, Matt. Then for good habit, I've always got this with me. It's my bear spray, even during winter time. I just like having it on my hip. It would probably also work well in a cougar encounter if it got really close, and who knows what else. But it gives me comfort. I've never had to use it, but I'm always glad I've got it. Sounds like I'm doing commercials. This is just brought to you by me because I enjoy doing this. It's fun. Thank you. Okay, it's time to leave milepost 16. I'm appreciative of this beautiful spot. Doesn't look like much, but like I said, it's my regular turnaround, and I like those kind of motivational places. Here we go, Railway Westward. And here comes the low light mic tree. There is bits of sunlight. I mean, there's still cloud diffusing it, but it's trying to peek through and brightening things up. Here's a bit of tall broom. He gets pushed down by the snow each winter. I just have to work my way around. And there's a thicker patch coming up. But thankfully, today, the broom is just a short part of my hike. Only about 0.6 of a mile each way. And where I am is above the west end of Cameron Lake. The lake is through there. Sun is glistening on the lake. I love coming into this spot about mile 16.4 or so. It's the neat little tunnel and the moss. And there's not a steep drop off right beside me. It's built up for a bit before it drops off steeply. And I'm coming to the spot where I leave the broom behind and become who I was born to be. Someone who walks on railways without broom. Okay, this is about mile 16.6 or so. It's good to be back to easy walking, clear sight lines, etc. Here's the turnaround area for the Fibre-Optic crew. Yeah, nice little view down the lake. Peekaboo view gives you an idea of how things used to look before all the trees beside the railway grade grew up. Trees are good, don't get me wrong, but sight lines are important on a working railway as well. And of course, I'd like to dedicate this hike and video to all the people who've been doing the hard work on restoring railway on Vancouver Island. All of the behind the scenes work, all of the lobbying, various public awareness, and of course all of the presentations to levels of government. All those hard-working people. I sure appreciate you and what you're doing, and I share your vision. Here's another view of coming back this way of these little windfalls, about mile 16.8 or so. And up there on the left is the big rock that came crashing down sometime in the year 2020 and knocked out the rails, both rails. Just a short segment. You can see the weld right here where it's put back. Just done simple enough to let the Fibre-Optic project car run. We're coming up to the mile 17.5 trestle over what the railway creatively calls Mountain Creek. That creek is coming down hard. Hey, I'm having a break. I'm sitting on a trestle, mile 17.5, figuring out this whole how to look at the camera while you're holding it. This is a great place for a break, to sit down on the rails and just take a breather and just enjoy looking at the close-up view of the rails. I'll show you. It's the lichen and the moss. And of course my shoe and my gaiter. But just look at that moss. I love the green. Okay, now it's time for me to try to get up like an old man that I am, and without making too much noise, but who cares? And then I'll continue my hike. I've got 3 miles left, and that should be about an hour and a half of walking, but I'm old and slow, so maybe 2. And that's just fine. I've really enjoyed my day so far, and I'm glad I've hiked today. Okay, until next time. And this is when I usually try to guess when that might be. Maybe later in the spring. I like this. It's dripping on the rock. Well, the signs are telling me stuff. On the right, the 2 dots tell me there's an obstruction ahead. That's the Jordan rail, the inner guardrail on the trestle. And then on the left is milepost 18. Yeah, number 18. And the 18.1 trestle. This is such a simple trestle, and of course the only thing that makes it noteworthy for me is the poor condition. And until next time for this one, let's keep going westward. Here's another little guy down. Oh yeah, when it's later in my hike, my legs are sore, lifting my legs over the windfall, it's a bit more of a challenge. This is a nice spot here about mile 18.7. The mile 18.8 compound bridge. The first part, the timber pile trestle. Okay, until I see this one again. Spoiler alert, when I see one of these, I see all of these. I always do all the four. This is fun, just setting up here in one of my favorite spots and doing a time lapse of the clouds moving. And probably the shadows moving a bit on the rock face as well. And you know what? Why not? I'm going to just walk on down. Well, this was a lot of fun here. Now let's continue walking westbound. Yeah, that's the view looking back at that lovely rock face area. Near the end of my hike, mileposts are motivational. 19, I got 1.6 miles left to go. We got some pretty consistent snow here now. It's on all the ties, so it's giving away where the ties are. So now the snow is starting to close the gap between each tie, but not quite yet. I'm approaching the mile 19.6 site of the Aerosmith water tower. Yeah. Okay, this was fun playing with the early afternoon sun shining on through. Hey, milepost 20. I'm getting near the end. Ah, that's a nice rock face. Oh yeah, Trestle is nice. Yeah, the peak is obscured by the cloud. Maybe if I stay here long enough, it'll clear up for a few seconds. I'll find out. That's a nice view across the Cameron River Valley. And that's where I just was. Well, I was here 7 hours ago on my way out and back now. 7 a.m. and 2 p.m. What a fun day. I sure take my time though when I'm doing these hikes, but that's the enjoyment of it. When I saw this rock up ahead on my way in this morning in the dim light of dawn, from a distance I didn't know what it was. I thought maybe it was an animal or something. Okay, this is the 2.0 or 2.1% uphill grade. This is a scene I normally wouldn't bother with, but the snow just makes this curve so much more photogenic. Yeah, this curve is going to take me forever to approach. Take a railway mystery curve with a lovely rock face. Add snow and moss. Oh, and then sunlight. Alright, I'm ready for a blast of daylight. Oh yeah, this is nice. I feel warmer already. Here we are going up the, what I think is 2.1% grade, and my entrance road is just on the left up ahead, and beyond that the grade increases to 2.2%. It's looking back down grade, looking up grade. And this is where I set off, completing my inbound leg. Thanks a lot for watching this. I really appreciate you.